First things first, Max.
Yes, indeed.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm all right.
Great.
So before we get into the music, I'd like to jump back to the beginning.
Yeah.
And do you remember when you first fell in love with performing for others?
That's a great question. I'd say the first memory of performing for others was I grew up in Hell's Kitchen, New York City, and I lived right next to Broadway, where all the Broadway shows are. And as a little kid, I saw The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast. And my first memory was coming home from seeing The Lion King when I was like 4 years old. And I reenacted the whole show on my living room table in my underwear for my family, like the whole thing. And then I'd keep doing that. Every show I would do that. I would come back home and I would reenact like Beauty and the Beast or whatever show. And after a while, my parents realized that this was probably maybe something that not every kid was doing, and maybe I should like do shows or something like that. And that was how I caught the bug.
Wasn't Lion King then, is that still your favorite?
Oh yeah, Lion King is always a special one. I know that's big here, right? The Lion King
yes.
is big here. I love The Lion King. West Side Story, shows like that. They're definitely, special to me.
And especially at that age, what did it with you? Because it's not just singing, it's like I say, performing. So what did that aspect do to you?
I think that it was a sense of losing myself in other people's energies, and that's still what I love. Like when we had the show here the other night in Amsterdam, it's so special when, regardless of language, you just perform and you feel like you are losing yourself in other people losing themselves, and then it's just this connective tissue that's so irreplaceable, and I think that's kind of the core of why I love it so much.
Especially when you started out then, did you have to learn how to connect with people?
Sure, yeah. I was really bad in the first few years for sure. I definitely would do shows and I was nervous in certain ways, or I would, when I did musicals and things like that, I would forget my lines or whatever else. Just there was a lot of different nervous energies. But as I got older, I started to not be as nervous for those kinds of things, be more nervous for other kinds of things. But the actual performing is where I would feel the most at home. So it definitely wasn't like that in the beginning, though. I was way more nervous.
What would you feel nervous for, or would you still feel nervous for?
That's a great question. I always feel nervous for the weirdest things, like when we sing our national anthem in the States for like a sports game. Like I'll do it at a basketball game in the States or something, and that's when I get the most nervous. Okay. But like we could be playing in an arena and I won't feel any nerves. But then if we're playing, like if I had to play in this shop for like 7 people and I could see all of them, I might feel, it depends. Like sometimes it doesn't affect me at all, and sometimes I'm the most nervous to just be in front of 5 people to sing or something.
And kind of building on where you grew up, because I read that you had very supportive parents.
Yeah.
So what was it like when you kind of, did you sit them down and say, okay, I want to pursue this, this is my dream and I want to go do this? Yeah,
totally. They've always been so supportive. They're both very fun size, I say, very small humans as well. They're like hobbits, like the Lord of the Rings, and they've been these wonderful supportive parents forever. And the thing that I think the real tipping point, I always, we moved away when I was in middle school, which I don't know when that is here, but it's, like when I was like 10 or 11, we moved away to this place called Woodstock, and then I wanted to come back for high school to do performing arts, and so we moved back for that, and then different things would happen. I'd do different shows, or I did like this show on Broadway when I was 16, and I started sort of doing stuff. And that was when they started realizing that I really wanted to do it. But the biggest part was when I went to college in the States for a little bit, and then I wanted to drop out to do it. Great. And that's when I really had to sit them down and say, like, okay, I'm gonna drop out and do this. Are we good? Can we do it? And there was hesitancy, but they've been so supportive, and I'm glad that they took the dive with me.
What did you study?
I did just like theater and musical theater and stuff. Yeah, so all the same stuff.
Because and then I don't know how long it was until you got on the Nickelodeon show How to Rock, and I don't want to spend too much time on that. But what for you in terms of artistic expression? How did it differ from what you are doing now?
Sure, that's a good question. No, I think my time on Nickelodeon, my favorite thing about it was there was this movie called Rags, and in the movie I had it's set in New York where I'm from, and I was running around town. In the movie, I have like an ukulele, which I still play now, and my favorite thing about it was that when the movie was originally pitched to me, I didn't play ukulele. I didn't really sing. It was just like this hip hop thing, and I always would go to auditions for things with my ukulele, like regardless of the role, just because I would sing and stuff. And they told me, don't bring it, like please don't bring it. Not them, but my like agents or whatever. Right. And so but I did it anyway. And then it was really cool because I brought it, they wrote it into the movie, and then I played it in the movie, and it made me definitely realize that there's certain aspects that you have to fight for. And that's still to this day something I've always held true, that sometimes people won't believe in the thing that you are or what you do, and you have to fight for it. And that was one little thing that I learned from my Nickelodeon days.
And then that's then the kind of the more acting part. So once you went into music or focused more on music, what was that one thing that you kind of had to safeguard for yourself?
Oh yeah, that's great. It was a really hard decision to say I'm gonna stop doing acting and just do music. And I think that the thing that I tried to safeguard the most was probably just the feeling of being very colorful and letting it all, because in acting, you transform yourself into somebody else, and for me it was always sort of suppressing this energy that I was always having because I wanted to become other roles. So the thing that I safeguarded the most was being very excited or energetic or colorful, and that's something that made me feel safe as you fly into this world that's not always as accepting of that. So that's what I kind of safeguarded the most.
That's interesting, because I looked at a couple of live things, and the live energy, as you talk about, that's very important, and kind of and that connection, the reciprocity that you get from the audience. So what is your mindset going on stage now these days?
Yeah, I try to remind myself every night that every person in that audience, it's maybe they took the day off of work to be there, maybe it's their birthday, maybe it's a special day, maybe they just need this night. And that kind of makes me, regardless of my day, it makes me realize that I have to give everything I have to it, because that could be the one day they get to do this, or they never have seen a concert or whatever else. And so that kind of inspires me to lose myself in the show and give everything, even if I'm not feeling so well or whatever else. And it makes it exciting every night, because I know that it's a different experience, whether someone's been to 10 shows of ours or they've never been to one, and I want it to be something new for everybody.
What is one of the best reactions you've had? Maybe somebody coming up to you afterwards?
Yeah, oh my gosh. It's always so special when we hear stories after the show. I mean, even here in Amsterdam, there was this girl who came up to me afterward, and she said that her parents had gotten a divorce the day before, and that it was a really hard time for them. And she and her brother came, and she was on her brother's shoulders in the crowd during the show, and she started crying, and her brother started crying. They both hugged me, and it was like such a simple moment, but it reminded me that it's beautiful, the connection, even with language barriers or whatever else. By the way, everybody speaks perfect English here, which is amazing, and I'm very appreciative of it. But every time a moment like that happens, whether it's someone saying that they like the Lights Down Low, a lot of people use it as their wedding song, or they get married to it, and anytime somebody says that, it's so special to be part of their life in that way, because it's such a special song to us.